Okay, so quick question for you. Have you ever had that exact moment where, it's payday, you pull up your bank app, and for about 12 glorious seconds, you actually feel rich? But then, literally, in the blink of an eye, rent hits. A random subscription you totally forgot about just auto-renews. Gas, groceries, and maybe some weird annual fee from an app you barely even remember downloading, they all just hit at the exact same time. And suddenly, you're sitting there doing mental gymnastics, telling yourself, okay, right, if I can just keep my card under 37 bucks until Friday, I'm going to survive. Listen, if that feeling hits a little too close to home, you are absolutely not alone. That right there, that is the undeniable, suffocating grip of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. And honestly, the absolute worst part about it is how isolating it feels. It makes you feel like you're somehow personally failing at money. But the reality, it's much, much different. You're actually just stuck in a system that is literally designed to keep people stuck. So let's just dive right into this explainer. We are talking about escaping the paycheck to paycheck cycle. We're going to break down the exact math, the psychology behind it, and most importantly, a totally jargon-free 7-day system to actually fix it. $400. Now, a massive share of people openly admit they're living paycheck to paycheck. But here is the thing that most people get completely backward. It is not always an income problem. Very often, it's what we call a zero margin problem. Think about it. If your bills perfectly match your income, you have zero buffer. None. You could be bringing in $3,000 a month or even $10,000 a month, and you're still waiting on that next direct deposit like it's literal life support. And studies back this up repeatedly, showing that so many folks struggle to cover even a basic $400 emergency without having to borrow money. When you don't have that cash buffer, you're basically walking on a financial razor's edge every single day. And here's where it gets wild. When you lack that buffer, something totally fascinating and honestly kind of terrifying happens to you psychologically. Your brain actually shifts gears into what researchers call scarcity mode. It's a very real psychological state where your focus just completely narrows. You literally stop planning for next year or even next month because your brain is forcing you to focus entirely on just surviving the current moment. You're constantly locked in the state of financial fight or flight. And, that is exactly why people turn to credit cards. It's not because they want to be irresponsible. They just desperately need to take a breath. So the really crucial point here is that while a credit card can feel like absolute oxygen when things are impossibly tight, it comes with a brutal catch. With credit card interest rates often hanging around 20% or even higher, that financial oxygen you just breathed in, it quickly turns into a poison. The debt compounds and the cycle just tightens its grip on you even more. So the whole goal of the 7-day system we're jumping into today isn't some crazy get-rich-in-7 days internet scheme. No way! It's so much better and far more practical than that. We are talking about building your very first real buffer in just 7 days, so you can finally step off that razor's edge. But before we jump straight into day 1 of the blueprint, we need to quickly lay down 3 golden rules to totally reframe how we approach this. Think of these as our foundation. Rule number 1, no perfection, only progress. This is probably going to get a little messy, and that is totally fine. Rule number 2, we are focusing entirely on building margin first. We're not chasing complex investment strategies right now. Margin is the absolute priority. And rule number 3, this is a systems problem, not a motivation problem. Trying to budget using pure willpower, it's going to fail eventually. We absolutely need a system. Okay, welcome to day 1. The goal for today is super simple. We just need to find your bleed number. Now, right off the bat, I want to let you entirely off the hook here. Most people think that taking control of their money means they have to create this massive, guilt-inducing, hyper-detailed budget spreadsheet. You really don't. You honestly just need one core metric to start. Just one single number to bring absolute clarity to your entire financial situation. And that is your bleed number. Let's define exactly what that actually is. Figuring out your bleed number is a total paradigm shift. It's simply your monthly take-home pay minus your required monthly spending. And when I say required spending, I mean the things you truly functionally cannot skip if you want to keep your life running. We are talking about housing, utilities, transportation, your minimum debt payments, basic groceries, insurance, and your phone bill. That's it. Nothing else counts here. Let's put this into practice to see how it works. Say your take-home pay is roughly $3,200. Now let's tally up that required spending, the not-so-fun part. Let's say rent is $1,400, utilities and internet are $220, your car and insurance hit around $450, minimum debt payments are $280, basic groceries are $450, a phone is $70, and gas is around $160. All of that totals $3,030. So you take your 3,200 income minus your 3,030 required spend, and boom, your bleed number is $170. That means you have exactly $170 of margin for absolutely everything else in your life. Seeing it laid out like this perfectly illustrates the claustrophobia of the paycheck cycle, doesn't it? And hey, listen to me. If you run these numbers in your bank app today and your resulting margin happens to be negative, just take a breath. It is not a moral failure. It is literally just math, and math can be fixed. Once you've got that crystal clear clarity from day one, we actually group days 2 and 3 together, because now we are pivoting aggressively into action. The ultimate goal across these next 2 days is to scrape together a basic 7-day survival buffer. Now hear me out. We aren't aiming for a fully funded 6-month emergency fund right now. We literally just need $100 to $300. You might be sitting there thinking, I don't have extra money to save. But honestly, that is exactly why we're starting so small. So on day 2, we are going to manufacture that buffer pretty much out of thin air. Here are a few rapid-fire actions you can literally take today. First, move $25 to $50 into a completely separate account right now. Next, find just one unused item in your closet and list it for sale online. Go cancel just one subscription you forgot you're even paying for, or just commit to having one single no-spend evening this week. Creating even a tiny artificial buffer like this changes your mindset incredibly fast, because suddenly it stops those panicked scarcity mode decisions from taking over when a minor emergency hits. Moving right along to day 3. This one is all about plugging the holes in the bucket. Our source material points out a truly fascinating insight here. Most people do not actually have one giant spending problem. Instead, they have like 10 tiny ones. It's $10 here, $14 there, little subscriptions running endlessly in the background. So, your day 3 goal is to do a ruthless 15-minute subscription audit. Open up your bank statement, hunt down those recurring charges, and just cancel anything you haven't actively used in the last 30 days. Yes, even that highly specific streaming service you only signed up for to watch one single show like 6 months ago. Your goal here is to free up between $30 to $100 a month in real cash, because that recaptured money immediately becomes the rock-solid foundation of your new buffer. All right, day 4. Now we are tackling your fixed bills. We've plugged the small leaks, so now we have to look at the structural costs. And you know what? The biggest savings usually hide right in plain sight within these fixed costs. Just think about it for a second. If you manage to lower just one fixed monthly bill by $50, you haven't just saved $50. You've actually saved $600 a year. So today, your only task is to try and negotiate just 3 bills, maybe your internet or phone, your auto insurance, or a major subscription service. Okay, get ready to take a screenshot right now, because this is the exact, highly actionable script you can use today when you call or hit up the live chat with your providers. Ready? You just say, "Hi, my bill is too high and I'm considering switching. Are there any promotions or lower cost plans available?" That's it. It's incredibly straightforward, it's polite, and I promise you, you would be absolutely stunned by how often this specific script works like magic to lower your monthly overhead. Now we hit day 5. This is where we ensure you never have to rely on raw discipline ever again. We transition into building what we call the buffer account system. Because here is a rather harsh truth that the explainer points out. Budgeting with pure willpower just does not work in the long run. Life is way too chaotic, and decision fatigue is a very real thing. You shouldn't have to carry the burden of constant financial discipline. That is exactly why setting up a rigid, automated system is strictly required. The solution we use here is just beautifully simple. You're going to create 2 entirely distinct checking accounts, a bills account and a spending account. When you get paid, the money for your fixed required costs, remember that bleed number, that goes directly into the bills account automatically. Your weekly, flexible spending money goes into the spending account, and a tiny little slice gets routed straight to your buffer. Setting things up this way completely removes all the guesswork. It absolutely kills that one account chaos where you look at a big balance on your app and accidentally spend this month's rent money on groceries or a night out. As we roll into day 6, we have to tackle the credit trap using the freeze and replace rule. I'm challenging you to literally freeze your credit card use for the next 7 days. Remember, at 20% interest, that financial oxygen is actually poison. So we replace the credit card with one totally unbreakable rule. If the money is not physically sitting there in your new spending account, the purchase simply does not happen, period. Now, for anyone navigating debt right now, day 6 also clarifies a vital priority rule that you absolutely must follow. When cash is extremely tight, you always pay your minimum debt payments first to stay compliant. But building your buffer is your immediate second priority. Why? Because if you throw every single spare penny you have at your debt and completely ignore building a buffer, the very next time a small emergency pops up, you'll have zero cash, which means you're sent running right back to the credit card, trapping yourself in that cycle forever. Wow, okay, we've actually made it to day 7. Now that the active building phase is officially over, we are shifting right into maintenance mode. This final day is all about pure, beautiful automation. You want to lock this entire system in so it just runs quietly in the background of your life. Go ahead and set up those automatic transfers we just talked about, auto-route your bills, set up an automatic transfer of just 10 to 25 bucks into your buffer account every single payday, and ensure those minimum debt payments are fully on autopay. You are essentially building a financial machine that completely protects you from yourself. I mean, just look at the rapid momentum you can generate in a single week. From finding your bleed number on day 1 to scraping together a tiny buffer by day 2, negotiating your fixed bills on day 4, setting up your routed account system on day 5, and then getting it fully automated by day 7, it's huge. And to maintain all this amazing momentum, all you need is a super simple 10-minute money check every Sunday. Check your bills, check your spending, check your buffer. No heavy, complicated spreadsheets, just 10 minutes of pure consistency. The source material shares a really powerful anecdote about all this. The author has a friend who felt like he was constantly being hunted by his bills. He literally described every single tiny surprise, like a flat tire or a random late fee, as a full-blown life crisis. But after running this exact 7-day system, within just a week, he had a couple $100 in his buffer, lower monthly bills, and separate accounts that finally killed the chaos. And you know what the absolute biggest change was for him? It wasn't actually the dollar amount in the bank. It was the disappearing stress. Because at the end of the day, a buffer buys calm. And calm, that leads to much better long-term decisions. Ultimately, if your income and your expenses stay exactly the same, nothing is ever going to change. But the incredibly hopeful truth here is that you do not need some massive life-changing raise to finally escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. You really just need a buffer, a solid system, and a few key expense wins. Once margin actually exists in your life, everything gets so much easier. Remember this, you are not stuck because you're lazy, you are stuck because you currently have no margin. And margin can be built. So, I challenge you to take that day 1 action today. Find that bleed number. Because the very first time an unexpected bill shows up and you realize you don't even have to panic, that is exactly what financial freedom actually starts to feel like. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. What are you going to